For the most part, a lot of the public systems only cover the immediate stuff. So they might cover the initial surgery and some bracing on your spine and decompression of the cord. But unfortunately, I was in Thailand when the accident happened, and I had to have that all happen on site. Otherwise, it's $500,000 to put you on a private plane and send you to a hospital. So that alone was $80,000, and then tickets back to Canada were about 10.
The Trader Cobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Trader Cobb Crypto Show. I've got two guests with me today. This should be interesting. I've got Kieran and Shawn from Longtail Financial. And there's a great story in this one, so make sure you stick around for the full show. Gentlemen, it's an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Thanks, no worries. Look, it is a long story, and I want to get to that. But before we do anything, first things first, Kieran, when did you first get into this digital asset and cryptocurrency space, and what was the reason?
Yeah, I found the blockchain and cryptocurrency space when I was in university, and I was trying to learn about the financial system that the world runs on, with either from as early as early backed assets with gold, or previous units of standard value, and then the current federal system that we've got in the US, where they've got a fiat currency that's only backed by the government's word and doesn't have any hard assets directly linked to itself, and just how the entire system worked. And then along that journey, you find Bitcoin at some point, and you find these new internet technologies that were developed from the 90s to the early 2000s, that have only recently started to pick up a lot of momentum. And when you look into it, you understand why pretty quickly, because of all the benefits that it comes with, and just how much faster and easier and trustless it is. So it just makes a lot of sense if you look into it. And I appreciate all the values of everyone behind the community, and the independence and everything that just went along with the blockchain philosophy.
And Kieran, you're in the same boat, mate. I mean, have you both been there? Sorry, Shawn, you're in the same boat. Have you both been there for the same amount of time in the space, that is?
Yeah, I think I've been in it a bit longer than Kieran. So I got big into crypto back in 2013 in that first Bitcoin bubble. I started really tracking. I was able to ride through that. It was one of my first summers working in between my university semesters, and I made some good money. And I had some of it in I was like, I'm going to be an investor. I'm going to put money into mutual funds. And then I started actually digging deep into mutual funds and realized how terrible their performance is. And meanwhile, I was tracking Bitcoin, and I was just really curious about it. And crypto technologies in general, cryptography, like Tor browser, things like that. And so in 2013, I took my money out of mutual funds and put it into Bitcoin, and got to ride the roller coasters that came with that. And during that time I was studying computer science. And so I was starting to kind of look into things like machine learning and computational statistics. So I started trying to apply that to crypto markets. And I started out as a trader, an active trader, but over the years moved more towards building automated trading systems. And that's what Kieran and I have been doing since we've met in August 2018.
Okay.
So just a year and a half about.
And so you've been a year and a half together since 2013 for you, Shawn, and 5 years, that's 2014 for you, Kieran. And out of that, Longtail Financial started. Now, with Longtail Financial, I want to hear a bit about what that is and the reason behind it. Now, if you don't mind, when someone's talking, if you just mute whoever's got.
I think that's Kieran, yeah.
So you go, Shawn. You tell us about Longtail Financial, what you're doing, and all that.
Sure, yeah. So I did a master's degree in data science at Simon Fraser University throughout 2017, 2018. And by that time, I was already deeply invested in machine learning and AI research. And then also I was an active trader in the crypto markets. So I based my master's degree on combining those things. And I worked on a few projects. Two, most notably, one was using deep learning systems to do price forecasting in crypto markets. And that went well. Me and my partner there, Jackie Locke, we were able to achieve 58% price change prediction. So basically, given we looked at the top 100 cryptos and predict which ones are going to go up versus down in price 24 hours later, and we were able to get 58% accuracy, which is far better than random selection. So that clicked in my head that there's something to this. And then I started going more towards the deep reinforcement learning algorithms, which reinforcement learning is like AI that learns from its environment. So it makes decisions and then gets feedback based on the environment. So in this case, you have the environment being the markets, how they change, and behavior being what you choose to buy or sell in those markets. So I started researching that deep reinforcement learning. And then I got to work. I got to do my co-op term as a data scientist at the Royal Bank of Canada in capital markets. So I got to see how these capital markets operate and on a professional level, and just be exposed to some of the language and kind of the business operations there. And then that Kieran and I just clicked. So I was already kind of working with all these ideas, and Kieran just right place, right time. He got it, he received it, and he had resources he was already independent, and he was an active trader at the time as well. So we just have stuck together since then as brothers in arms, trying to build a company. And that we've pivoted. We think, okay, are we just going to make a fund and build out these automated trading systems? Yeah. And we've had a little bit of success doing that. We haven't where we spent a lot of time and it didn't necessarily come back to us was this idea of raising a whole bunch of money. We thought we've got great technology. We're starting to get results. We're young guys. We thought, well, there's no problem. We'll go pitch and raise a lot of money. Then we can do this. But that turned out to be a lot more difficult than we expected, because it's a time game. Like there's only so much time between developing technology and then courting investors, and almost always that doesn't lead anywhere. So we've kind of gone back and forth between those two avenues, and we haven't raised a large amount of capital to date, but we have transitioned to more producing products which we can monetize. So we do offer some solutions. We do tokenomics visualization, and this is useful for startups that want to do some sort of token raise or token sale. If they have any sort of parameters that they're thinking about on how they want to do that token release, we can visualize that for them to help them see how it's going to play out. And then also we are starting to work with some crypto exchanges, what we've really, our deep innovation, like we have the AI stuff and it's awesome, but the more kind of tangible is we've built a lot of visualization technology. So we can plot time series and prices and how they change over time. And we find that that's in demand from like crypto exchanges to offer to their clients. So we're starting to move towards that direction.
Well, there's a lot of things lacking on all crypto exchanges. They're all terrible when it comes for traders. They're just absolutely disgusting, horrible, pathetic, whatever word you want to use. And I tell this to people. I spoke to CZ of Binance and said they all suck. They're all terrible. You haven't got a good platform. It might be doing well, but it's not good.
It has a long ways to go. They can get a lot better.
Opportunity to win, but they just The problem is that as soon as we see this market go up again, and I don't understand why these exchanges don't see this, is that what's going to happen is you've got your massive financial institutions, your eToros, your CMC Markets, IG, TradeStation. Now you've got these great futures coming into the CME, obviously backed, increasing their volumes. I'm not going to touch a crypto exchange as a trader using margin if I can have the same 24-hour-a-day access with a regulated provider with a government guarantee in my country, and I think in the US at 200,000 as well, on my funds. Then I'll just open several different accounts. I'll get the same level of margin. I'll have great orders, great risk management tools, great scale out, great ladders. I'll have everything I need in a regulated environment with a government guarantee. Now, I love the idea behind taking power away from those. I love the idea of that. I really do, and I support it. But I'm only going to support things that make sense to me. And if you're incompetent and you can't catch up, or you've got a head start, be the Uber, take over the taxi. But they've got to do it in a user-friendly fashion so it actually comes to fruition, because these other companies have very, very, very large money there to back them to keep going. So, Kieran, tell us about what you're doing there with Longtail Financial. Obviously, you guys are a team. You work together. And during your tenure together so far, you had quite a life-changing experience, didn't you?
Yeah. So we got to spend a few months working heavily together in person, in the same room, sharing a house together in BC. And around May time, or early, I think it was late April, we heard from some of our friends at this incubator called Master Ventures that it was a good time to come down to a small island off of the coast of Thailand called Koh Phangan. And it's an amazing place. It's known for its full moon parties and its party scene. But there's an incubator there run by Kyle Chase and Dane Hoy that have done pretty well with some other groups in the similar space. So we wanted to meet them and see if they could basically present us to the market and help get investors for us. And after our presentation to them on the way home from the airport, on the way to the airport from home, from the place we were staying, we got into a motorcycle accident, and we both got flown off the bike. And Shawn had a backpack on, so he got scraped up quite a bit and some spraining in his legs and probably arms as well. But for the most part, he was mostly functional. But I had a complete spinal cord injury from the second I hit the ground, and I severed my spinal cord. So it's been a long work-wise. We basically got back into it a couple months ago. A month or two, we started going to some conferences in Toronto, like Futurist, and then from there we started getting back into things. Even though he's maintained a lot of his work over the last 7 months, I've just been spending most of it on recovery and in hospitals and trying to heal my body.
And I mean, look, what I find fascinating, I met you in Malta, Kieran. Did I meet you, Shawn? I don't recall meeting Shawn. I think it was only
no. Yeah, you were pretty busy at that conference. I think we did. I said we got to say hi, but you were pretty busy.
But one thing I did really, really notice was it didn't seem to stop you from anything, Kieran. Like I was in one of the halls, just having a quick break, because that's probably the only area I actually got to have a break was when I was sitting down in there, being completely anonymous, quietly having a breather. And you were lifted up at the back with your wheelchair, like in a stand-up type position, and that like this injury. How long ago was it, Kieran? It wasn't very long ago, was it?
Yeah, it was in May. May 12th, so about 7 months ago now. And yeah, so I've got a standing wheelchair. I got it used pretty cheap for about a quarter of the price that it normally goes for, which is about 25K. And if a normal wheelchair is about 5,000, it's more than 5 times as much just to lift you up. And at the start, it gets you really lightheaded, and you basically feel like you're gonna pass out and you can't breathe. But once you adjust to it, which takes a really long time, and I still haven't adjusted, and I've had a lot of problems with it in the meantime, but it prevents a lot of the atrophy and bone loss and osteoporosis that you get if you just don't have any movement in your legs, because I'm paralyzed from the chest down. So my abs and my legs and my feet and everything doesn't really move at all. So if you consider a normal person that would even just stand up more than me, just probably going like just in the first 3 seconds of their day, being able to stand up for either half an hour, an hour throughout the day is not much, but it's definitely something.
Well, you just said a normal person. You are a normal person, dude. You just got some things that you got to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that I knew right now what had happened to you, I just think that you were lazy laying in bed.
Yeah.
For those on the podcast, if for those who can't see, he's laying there with his shirt off in bed for obvious reasons. But one of the things that really did inspire me was that 7 months ago, I mean, look at the smile on this guy's face. I mean, 7 months out of something that completely tipped you upside down, literally and figuratively, and you still got a smile on your dial. You're still pushing forward. Has it changed your focus at all? Obviously, there's a lot of time on. I assume physio, or I'd imagine a lot of time being massaged and pounded and fixed and pulled and prodded and all this sort of thing. What's the plan? Like, has it changed your focus on life? You're now working into a different area. Is there anything that's come to light that you wouldn't have considered prior to your accident, Kieran?
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there, and a lot of the day is just taken up by things that you wouldn't even think about, like having to use a catheter, or not being able to use a toilet like a normal, like a fully abled person maybe.
There you go.
And that alone can take like 5 hours a day, and then there's muscle contractions and spasms and nerve pain that goes along with it. So having therapy and massages would be really, really awesome, but it does cost quite a bit of money, and I spent basically all the money that I had on the $80,000 hospital bill in Thailand, and then just a lot of the other processes and therapies that I've gotten over the last 6 months. So I haven't really been able to get any of those massages or physical therapy basically since I got out of the hospital about 2.5 months ago now. So it's the goal to get towards that and start to getting multiple therapies a week, and part of that can happen by either some degree of higher success in the business or from the community and receiving some kind of contribution from people that are able to support the campaign. But also, yeah, what I've learned, and I guess what's changed since the accident. Before the accident, I was involved in a few, just for the most part, one nonprofit organization. And since then, me and Shawn have been working more towards other organizations that follow stuff like the UN's SDGs. There's 17 ones that make the world a better place by 2030, I think it is. And other green organizations and stuff that kind of gives back to the community. Because I think something that has solidified more is that a lot of people get purpose from helping other people instead of just building up a material life with a lot of extra stuff. And you really get fulfillment from helping other people. And since the accident, I've met a lot of people that have had either similar injuries, or things worse, or things that are better. It's really hard to compare them, but less severe and more severe injuries. And there's a big spectrum on people's response and approach to something like this. A lot of people end up at home, not working, relying on support from the government, and don't do a lot. And then some people join the Olympics or build a business or find a way to heal and get back on their feet. And there's a divide there that I think can be bridged with, I guess, more research and information in the space about how to heal an injury like this, because it's a very complicated process. And a lot of doctors tell you straight off the bat that there's almost no chance of recovery, and basically tell you you're going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, or that it's going to take a really long time. And there's not a lot of hope given. Yeah. So you kind of have to find a way to find it on your own, or just get lost in the physical and mental sufferings.
That's the way it goes. Shawn, mate, what if, like, your perspective? I mean, your backpack, thank goodness. It sounds like you sort of copped a bit of the impact saved by the backpack. Obviously, like pretty horrendous injuries for any other day of the week. With perspective with Kieran, I mean, you got off lightly, right? I mean, absolutely horrible thing to happen to Kieran, but it is what it is, and he's bounced back. Has it changed your view on things as well? I mean, obviously, with the business that you guys have got in the trading space, looking at things along the lines of, modeling, and you had a good success system there. Good, obviously that is still alive. Longtail Financial is still there. It is still alive. Has this accident and Kieran's attitude and what you all have both been through over the past, 12 months, not even, right? Has it changed your view and perspective at all, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good question, and it's and not just in one way, but in different ways. I remember the day after the accident, being in the hospital and just being overwhelmed with gratefulness that we're alive and how amazing my home life is. I have a good family. We get to live in Canada. It's awesome. We get to run this business. There's so many great things to look forward to. And I was overwhelmed with that. But it's interesting how it went the other way. 2 weeks later, I fell into a bit of a depression. I've got these injuries. My leg was really sprained. I could barely walk. My best friend and business partner is now in a wheelchair, and business is falling apart. And I started focusing on all the bad things. And then that lasted a while. So it's interesting how the mind will react in different kind of phases. And I did experience what I would call PTSD from the experience of the accident itself. I would have these flashbacks, and they were quite common and quite draining, and especially at night. But then I actually saw a psychologist that was had a specialty in trauma, and they did a technique on me called EMDR. It's eye movement desensitization. So they have your eyes track so that they move similarly as they do in REM sleep, and they have you relive the experience, this traumatic experience, and kind of get out a lot of the emotions and feelings and fears that come along with it. And that was such a great treatment that after the treatment, immediately I was so exhausted. I went home, I passed out on my bed, and I fell asleep for a long time. When I woke up, it felt like I had a bit of a hangover, but I had no more flashbacks after that. So I must say, there is great treatment out there, whether it's psychological or physical. And so I've been watching Kieran in his pursuits of healing his physical body. And so I'm very fortunate that I had resources to see a psychologist that could really help me get over the accident. And but in a bigger picture, it definitely does put things into perspective. It makes you appreciate life, right? I think everyone goes about their life, and we eventually come to some circumstance, whether maybe it could be the death of a friend or a parent or something like this. But it reminds you of how fragile life is, and it definitely puts things in perspective. And like Kieran says, since the accident, we've even had a different perspective on the business. I think it used to be all every day give 110%. We need to push. We need to be the best. We need to hit every opportunity. But since the accident, we've realized, no, we have a great idea. We have a good business that's on a good path, and we've that in itself is worthwhile. It's exactly, joy along the way is so essential. And so we've been trying to focus more on not just building systems that optimize return, but what Kieran was hinting at before. We've been thinking more about kind of if we can generalize this technology to other kind of optimization metrics. Could we manage a portfolio that that minimizes CO2 production, or optimizes maximizes job production, or maximizes well-being of a community? So I'm working now. I'm in Kelowna, British Columbia, and I'm working with a company called the Green Bank Network, and they're a fintech company. They're in the process of moving bonds onto blockchain, particularly green bonds. And so it's really, really fascinating stuff. But our technology with Longtail Financial, it plugs in with what they're doing, because they are working in alignment with what Kieran mentioned, the UN's 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And so we're thinking now, can we, and maybe not even just work in crypto, but work across different financial sectors. Yeah, industry-wise, can we start building out portfolios that are optimizing over not just return, but what are all the other metrics that are important to society? So
Yeah, so it definitely has shifted your perspective, but also modeling your business as well, which, with a shift in perspective does come a shift in lifestyle usually, and that can transcend just, mood and what you do physically and mentally think, but also it should extend into your business, because if it's not, then, it's pretty difficult to run a business if that business is not a part of you, is what I think.
Yeah.
So look, before we move back to speaking with Kieran about what we can do there to help out in any way possible, what sort of people, what sort of companies, and who does Longtail Financial, approach client-wise? Who are you looking for to work with, to talk with, and how do they get in contact with you?
Nice. I'll let Kieran open that one.
Okay, yeah. So how do they get in contact with us? For now, the website is our main platform.
Yep.
It's pretty easy to find both of us from there with our names, and we try and make ourselves really easy to contact. But our clients are anyone that want to integrate this technology of either visualization, data analysis, statistical work as well, and then also deep learning, artificial intelligence development. We initially pride ourselves on being like a big data AI shop, where we would have a large amount of AI researchers and developers on staff that could be put towards any type of project, and we've transitioned into working either more broadly across the industry and then also within the crypto and blockchain space, for either visualizing tokenomics. So if you're an ICO or an STO, or you're launching any type of currency you want to visualize and get some projected results for, either valuations or other market interactions on the coin, any exchange that wants to integrate some better visualization tech. That's a big part that we alluded to before, is that a lot of exchanges don't have a very good interface or user experience. They don't have very good reporting. You can't compare your performance to other people. You can't even see trades of other people sometimes, or see what other people in the space are doing.
You can't manage your risk.
Yeah, you can't do anything for risk management. If you want to know the Sharpe ratio or your maximum drawdown, you don't get any of those things. You've got to integrate some kind of third-party resource, or you've got to look for it. It should be provided for you, really. So we want to be able to provide that to everyone. We want traders to know, basically how their performance is and what their risk is. How much are they putting on the line, and what they've potentially got to offer as well. If a trade does really well, maybe what their upside could be with a margin, and do some projections for them. So it's pretty customizable. We want to make these tools that can be replicated. So if anyone has any requests or any specific needs, or they just want to work with two awesome people, they can just go on their website and check us out, and we're available.
Sounds good. And that is longtail.financial. That's where you find them. Now, the other thing I want to touch on, Kieran, before we wrap up, mates, is obviously, look, with us coming into Christmas, this is a time for giving. This is a time where we do reflect. This is a time where we get together with our families. We want to have that. It's the time of year where we can give thanks, is really what this is about. I mean, in the US, they've got Thanksgiving, which I think is a wonderful thing. We in the rest of the world have what we call Christmas Day, or whatever it may be, wherever you are in the world and whatever your belief system may be. This tends to be a time of season where we get together and show love for each other. Now, with your situation, Kieran, I know, as you were saying before, it is very expensive. You had a very lengthy stay in hospital, a very large bill. And I was surprised to hear that you're not getting the massages and the medical requirements that you need. So for me, it's about trying to work out what can we do here. I mean, there's a lot that you've got to work through, and I see the website completecure.me. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do here, and how the listeners and viewers can help here, mate?
Yeah, so the name is a play on a complete spinal cord injury. So that's the designation that I've got. And the goal of the website is to find a cure for people with these problems. And it may not be a little cure, like taking a pill and you're done, or having a specific operation and you're done. It's an entire process, and there's a lot involved. So the idea with the website is to just introduce people to me, have some research on there about spinal cord injuries and methods of healing through either stem cells, physical therapy, or breakthrough technologies with nanotechnology or brain implants or anything that's coming out over the next few years. And then also tell them a little bit about me and my story and what's happened. So there's also a donation aspect to it. I'm trying to raise money so that I can afford some of these more expensive therapies that have a higher chance of success. And some of that is just daily stuff that happens, and some of it is month-long surgeries and procedures. So at like a lower, cheaper end is just physiotherapy, and that's anywhere from $100 to $300 a day. So I'm trying, yeah, for everything along. Sorry, I didn't know.
I'm just sitting here going, wow, it's, until these things happen, we don't really consider the cost of this sort of stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
it really is, especially not in Australia or Canada or England for that matter, because we've got a public health system. I know the private is often easier accessible, but there is a support system there. It's just so expensive.
yeah, for the most part, a lot of the public systems only cover the immediate stuff.
Yeah.
So they might cover the initial surgery and some bracing on your spine and decompression of the cord. But unfortunately, I was in Thailand when the accident happened, and I had to have that all happen on site. Otherwise, it's $500,000 to put you on a private plane and send you
Yeah.
to a hospital. So that alone was $80,000, and then tickets back to Canada were about 10, because I was still in a very um, unstable position with my spine, only being a few weeks after surgery. Um, and then there's a lot of other things that are just part of life now, like pain management and spasm control. And for that, I've usually liked CBD the best. There's a lot of opioids out there and things like ibuprofen that can either damage your natural stem cell production or interfere with your microbiome in your gut, and then also interfere with your stem cell production, just your general immunity and health and regeneration. So I found CBD to be the best
Yeah.
for
Okay.
that so far. And then there's stuff like using an exosuit. So that's among the more expensive ends of therapy, where it's almost up to $300 a day, or even buying one can be anywhere from $40,000 to $70,000. And it's part of my goal to get one of those, because it's essentially being able to walk again. It lets you
Yeah.
move around the house. Um, it's pretty difficult to move right now in a wheelchair, and getting in and out of it and doing just normal daily function stuff, and leaving the house or going for a walk with someone becomes a really lengthy process, or going to a store or just joining the community of people in social. It's really hard to move around in that space if there's steps or ramps
Yeah.
or anything along those lines. um, there's also exosome and stem cell treatments. So I've had one. I got the chance to go down to Panama. I had a very generous friend of a friend reach out to me. He was part of the he's part of the crypto space and part of the ICO 2017 boom, and he's been successful. And he heard about me, and he actually came down to Panama with me and met me there and helped pay for a portion of the treatment. Um, which was really awesome. But those treatments can go anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000
Mm.
each time. And some of these clinics have had some results, but it's taken upward of like 4 or 5 treatments
Yep.
to reconnect the spinal cord. So that alone would be over $200,000 just in stem cell costs. And then an epidural implant, which is basically a chip that goes along your spinal cord below the site of the injury. To get one of those is almost $100,000 or more, and then the operation and paying for flights to get there would be extra
So
on
it's
top. So
ongoing. It's an ongoing squeeze.
yeah,
It comes down to finances. One thing I can say is that there's definitely no lack of fighting spirit. There's definitely no lack of enthusiasm from you, Kieran, and also Shawn, who's your best mate and business partner. So what I would say out there to the community, and if you're listening to this on the podcast, think of me looking you directly in the eyes right now and asking you something. If you have done well, if you are in a position to help, please do. There are people out there that are less fortunate than us. It's not just, the world vision type thing. There are individuals out there that have just had their lives turned upside down completely. And we don't hear about that very often. Well, now you are hearing about that. If you have got the position where you can help, please get across to completecure.me. Have a read through Kieran's story, and get in contact with him if you wish to see how else you can help. Maybe you're a surgeon, maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're a therapist. I mean, it doesn't just need to be money. There's many different ways in which we can help, and a conversation with Kieran will certainly help. And for those in the corporate world and beyond, I mean, obviously Longtail Financial, you've got two guys here that despite the fact that their lives have been turned upside down, they haven't given up. Now, if you're looking for a product in that big data AI type space, as what you just heard, go and check out Longtail Financial. And one of the things you're always looking for in business is a team, a good solid team that isn't going to give up. Well, through a broken spine and a busted nervous system, basically, they still haven't stopped. It's only been 7 months, as you heard from Kieran, 2.5 months out of hospital. So I just want anyone who can or would like to know more to get across to those websites, get in contact with these gentlemen, and if you can help make change, then please do. Kieran, where do we find more about information about you on socials? And then we'll switch to you, Shawn.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I should be pretty easy to find if you search Kieran McLeod, and my name's on the website as well. But I also wanted to kind of repeat what you said about donations are awesome and they help a lot with a lot of the financial aspect. But there's a whole nother side to it of just learning more about what other people are potentially going through and having some personal development, but also just research. If anyone's a doctor or a therapist or any complementary modality of healing, I'm open to it. Like if you're in the CBD business, if you know people that specialize in medical equipment, if you're into supplements or stuff like that might be able to heal spinal cords or almost anything, I'm open to all ears. So if anyone wants to contact me as well, the email is completecure@pm.me, and I'm open to any discussions or calls or anything. So thank you.
And Shawn, what we find about you, mate?
Yeah, so you can learn more about me on my website, and there's a link to that. If you check out longtail.financial, there's a link to my website under my bio. Also on GitHub, you can find me. Linux is cool. That's my tag. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. Works too.
Well, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to both of you. Thank you so much for your time. Kieran, all the best. Shawn, all the best. I'll be speaking to you again as we progress and doing everything I can to connect you guys with the right people to make sure that we can help however we can. So thanks very much for your time and good luck. Have a very Merry Christmas, gentlemen.
Thank you so much,
yeah,
Greg.
Have a great holiday. And,
Merry Christmas.
No worries, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed the show. Bye for now.
The Trader Cobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.